What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. DK Show, Dan Kasper Show up on the air right now on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790. 105.1 FM, 798. I don't know why that just sounded weird coming out of my mouth there. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. You got your Google and Alexa devices. You got the app and the video stream up and rolling on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Appreciate you making us a part of your start. It is a little slick out there if you haven't maybe had a chance to step outside yet. Yeah, especially, certain. I know walking out on the deck this morning, there was more snow, and then you hit the driveway and it was like ice. So be careful out there. Was a couple hours ago since I was last out there, but still, nonetheless, be a little careful out there, depending on where you're at this morning and when you have to hit the roads out there. What do we got on the game plan here this morning, man? We're gonna touch on a few different things here. All right. First up, Badger basketball. I mean, what else do we got to say? I mean, it's at this point it's a broken record. It's broken record. I don't know what else we could say about this team. Not good defense again last night. No bench production outside of Blackwell, the freshman. Struggling from three again. Badgers losing to Indiana, 74-70. Right now, if the Big Ten Conference tournament started, Badgers are the 5th seed, so they don't even get the double bye. Since February 1st, this is how bad their month has been. February 1st, they were ranked 6th, getting ready to go up against Nebraska. 2-6. 2-6 in the month of February since being ranked number 6 in the country. We can point the fingers at a bunch of different things. I got a couple poll questions up that I put up on Twitter, and I know not everybody has Twitter, so you can text me your answers on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. But what let's face it, the conversation about Greg Gard is going to get a little louder. It's been getting a little bit louder. It's going to continue to get a little bit louder if this trend continues with this play. So my first poll question that I got up there is: should Greg Gard be let go at the end of the season, given another year? It's not his fault at all. What do you make of it? Try to. I know it's tough. It's tough, but maybe try to look at it non-emotionally, not too emotionally with this thing. But I mean, this is troubling. I was looking it up last night, trying to find okay, where are some other major epic collapses? A lot of them in baseball. We've seen it. We've seen it from the Brewers, for crying out loud. Some collapses in second halves of the season and such. But all the way from number 6 in the country to where they're at right now, it ain't good. And they've got 3 more games left to go here, and 2 out of 3 are against Illinois and Purdue. I don't think Wisconsin's going to hit that 20-win mark. Just think about that. They were number 6 at the beginning of this month in the country, and now they're not even going to get 20 wins in the regular season. Ooh. So, and I just wonder, I know we talked a little bit about it with RJ yesterday, with the success of the men's hockey team year 1 with Mike Hastings, the instant turnaround with that group. I mean, surpassing expectations this year. And I think there's still some excitement with Luke Fickell coming over for football. But given how this Badger basketball team goes, I still don't know if we've got a really good gauge of what maybe Chris McIntosh is thinking when he sees this Badger basketball team. I don't know. That's why I'm throwing it out to you to get your thoughts. But what should happen? What should happen with maybe this coaching staff at the end of the season? Let's assume that trend maybe kind of continues and it's an early exit. Give it another year. Not the coaching staff's fault at all. But go at the end of the year. So if you don't have Twitter, you can hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. What else do we got on the docket here this morning? We're Bucks, hey. Talked about it yesterday. I said I wanted to see the Bucks come out and just absolutely dominate the Charlotte Hornets, and that's exactly what the Milwaukee Bucks did last night. Taking down the Hornets. I mean, Hornets are not a good team, but they were playing a little bit better as of late. What did we say? Won 5 of the last 6. But still, no excuses. Milwaukee taking them down 123-85. Beat down. Was it 60? What was it? Yeah, Charlotte only had 26 points at the half. At the half. It was 58-26 at the half. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to this Bucks team. Giannis only had to play 24 minutes, and he put up 20 points. Dame only had to play 25 minutes. He put up 23. Portis came off the bench, contributing 21 points. Got to have a game where you unloaded the bench. Got guys minutes all across the board. In fact, only 2 players with the Bucks didn't get double-digit minutes. Livingston had 6. MarJon had 9. That's what we're talking about. Not playing down to your competition. Bucks did not do that at all last night. That was the one positive from some of the hoops games last night. Local wise, I mean, we had boys basketball. I mean, shout out Chi High for that epic comeback at down 24 at half against Rapids, and then they come back and win. But with the Bucks, look at this. This is from Justin Garcia from the Bucks radio network. Bucks defensive rating in the 13 games since Doc Rivers took over is 110.4. That's tied with the Cleveland Cavaliers for 5th best in the league. It's 3rd best since the coaching change that includes Joe Prunty's 3 games as interim head coach. Something as simple as changing the head coach. I mean, right now, defensively, they're playing better. As of late, a little bit before the All-Star break, it was like, okay, offense is suffering a little bit here. But right now, maybe it's still small sample size, just 3 games, but maybe things starting to click, starting to gel, starting to come together here a little bit for this Bucks team. Next up, they got another game against Charlotte on the road on tomorrow night to close out the month of February. Road game against Chicago then on Friday, a little back-to-back action. And then that next week, that to me is going to be the big stretch here for this Bucks season. It'll be the final full month of March, or final full month of the basketball season, excuse me. But that stretch where it begins with the Clippers, you got the Warriors, you got the Lakers, Clippers again, the Kings, Philly, Phoenix, Boston, OKC. That's going to be a heck of a stretch here. That's a tough stretch, but I think will tell us a lot about this Bucks team as they get set to get into the postseason. So, what else do we got on the docket here this morning? We'll talk some football. Goody talked to the media yesterday at the combine. I know we went through some of his comments right before we closed up the program. Then he talked to a wider media, more national and local media. Nothing too telling, nothing too big, which, I mean, I don't think anybody was really expecting anything out there. A big question he got was, David Bakhtiari and such. And, he said they're not ready to make a decision yet because they don't have to. But definitely, I would assume, and just kind of reading between the tea leaves and such, expect a decision before March 13th, which is start of the new league year and such. I still think it's David's gone. I mean, I don't know what they could do to bring him back and really, really, really lower that cap hit. I mean, come on now. That's, $40 million cap hit right now. So there's going to have to be some insane trickery when it comes to that. But nonetheless, we'll go through a couple of the comments there. Speaking of the pack, Cherry Star passing away, Bart Starr's wife. Yesterday it was announced. Sad news there. I was lucky enough to have met her and got to talk to her. Actually, exchanged letters with her a while ago. I still have that letter from her framed up in my man cave next to a picture I have with her. But I've said this about Bart, and I'll say it about Cherry too. Whatever you see, if you haven't had the fortune to have met either one of those or talked to either one of those individuals, whatever you hear and whatever you see on like TV and such, and they just look like two of the nicest or sound like two of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. It is 110% true. 110% true. Fantastic people. Fantastic people. So sad news yesterday to hear about her passing. So what else was there? Oh, speaking of football here. So I think it was the Vikings general manager. This is the second poll question I got up on Twitter here. Just more of a fun one here. Kind of want to get the gauge or get where everybody's at with this pick. So it was Vikings general manager yesterday, talking about Justin Jefferson. Guy's going to get a big payday. Okay, he's going to get a huge contract. We know that. We know he's going to get a huge contract. Vikings know he's going to get a huge contract. Vikings are want to give him a huge contract. But their GM said he's best non-quarterback and not best player in the league. That's a non-quarterback. So I put up a poll question. I'm just curious. Do you agree? And if you're a Packers fan, it's okay if you want to say Justin Jefferson is the best non-quarterback player in the NFL. It's okay. All right, dude's freaking talented. There's nothing wrong with giving him that credit. So I put up three. I can't put up a bunch of options, so I put up three. Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey. Then I put other, but you got to tweet me the name. Okay, you got to tweet me the name if it's other. The TJ Watt. Is it somebody on the defensive side? That sort of stuff. I'll just tell you right now, Christian McCaffrey is leading 77.8%. Nobody has nominated anybody else. So just a couple, just kind of a fun one out there. So we got votes coming in on the Greg Gard one over there too. So that's on my Twitter page at DANKASPER. We've got a business of sports segment coming at you at 8:05 this morning. So, we've been talking a little bit about, NFL salary cap rising, all that stuff this week. Well, we'll take a look at it from kind of a business standpoint. How did it rise so much? Why did it rise so much? Factors involving that. So we'll take a look at that for a business of sports. We also got another classes in session coming up just past 7:00 this morning. Brewers also back in action today for spring training. They had another game yesterday. We got to see Sal Frelick in the outfield, right field, not getting a third base start, but he made some nice defensive plays out there. Also, Tyler Black, who's been getting some reps at third and first, making some nice defensive plays in the game yesterday. So, all right, kind of maybe some thumbs up there. Brewers did fall, but hey now, in a game that you will be able to hear on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM, Brewers Cubs. The return of Craig Counsell. If you want to get geeked up about a spring training game between those two. But hey, you'll be able to hear that one this afternoon. So we'll throw a little baseball chat in here as well a little bit later on. So let's get it going though. We've got lots to hit up. Let's talk some hoops. Badger fans, I want to hear from you. I mean, it's kind of a broken record now this whole month of February talking about this team with the downs. I mean, I don't even know if downside is or the slide. I mean, it's worse than a slide. It's like a mudslide. It's like an avalanche of this team, like just how far they have fallen right now. What do you do with maybe Greg Gard and the coaching staff? Is he not to blame at all? Right now, poll questions, right, leading 42.9% saying let him go at the end of the season. Do you agree with that? Do you give him another year? Or do you think it's not his fault at all? Not his fault at all. Vote on that. If you don't have Twitter, you can hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Take a quick break and we'll get things going. We got lots to hit up, so sit back, grab your coffee, maybe tune in, chime in, give me your thoughts. All right. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Baseball season is here. Spring training going on right now. Players getting ready for another long summer. But spring training doesn't have to be just for baseball players. It could be for you as well. Tired of those aches and pains that you've been holding off on going to see someone for help for? Not anymore. Spring on into Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and start your spring training so you're ready for an awesome summer. At Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, you will receive surpassed care delivered with compassion and respect. So get ready to get back into the game, people. Make your appointment by visiting cvosm.com to get started. I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but again, shout out. We boys high school basketball postseason beginning last night and such. Chi High coming back from down 24 at the half and picking up the W against Rapids. Other teams, I know I'm going to be missing some, but we got Menominee, St. Croix Central, Baldwin, Woodville, Altoona, Cumberland, McDonald Catholic Central, Osseo Fairchild, Ladysmith, Regis, Neilsville, New Auburn, Eau Claire Emmanuel, Lutheran, Thorpe, Owen Withy, just to name a few. Medford, shout out Medford, also got a victory as well. So, but their season officially, or I should say, their postseason officially getting underway yesterday. Programming note too: Brandon, our good buddy Brandon Berg, will be on tomorrow instead of Friday because he will be down at state hockey on Friday covering Chi High as they hopefully bring back some hardware. But just a little programming note: Brandon will be joining us tomorrow instead of Friday. So we'll do a local sports roundup coming at you tomorrow. G-Man, chiming in already. G-Man, aren't you glad you don't have to be out on the roads right now? Retired, living a retired life. Bucky needs me to coach the team, says G-Man. P.S. Way to go, Bucks. Saying I do have on my Bart Star jersey on now in memory of Bart's wife, Cherry, who passed away. So let's talk some hoops to begin this morning. So poll number one is related to the Badgers. I put up there again on my Twitter page at DANKASPER. Should Badgers head coach Greg Gard ... and I give you three options. Be let go at the end of the season, give it another year, not his fault at all. 54.5% of you saying right now, at this current point in time, 54.5% of you saying should be let go at the end of the season. 27.3% of you saying not his fault at all. 18.2% of you saying give another year. It's kind of a broken record at this point in time when it comes to this Badgers team. This has been an awful, awful month of February for this team. Since being ranked number 6, they are 2-6 in the month of February. Another loss to a bottom tier team in the Big Ten Conference. Another loss on the road too. It's their road issues that's given some. Well, one of the issues that's kind of been popping up for this hoops team. But for all the strides it seems like that this team has made offensively. You had Kirk Petty coming in and being on the staff, on the coaching staff, and kind of implementing a new offensive system. So they've made strides offensively. We've seen the statistics, we've seen the numbers of offensive efficiency, best offensive efficient team in the Greg Gard era. But right now their defense stinks. It's not good. Which when you think about some Badger teams, you think about defense. And I mean, first of all, last night you had a pulled fire alarm. I can't remember watching another game or remember another game off the top of my head. I'm sure maybe there was, but off the top of my head, I can't remember another game where there was a delay or a pause, I should say, because somebody pulled the fire alarm. Now, if this was Indiana, here we go. Conspiracy. Kind of like the Super Bowl between the Ravens and the 49ers. Remember that? How many years ago? I don't know. We gotta check the cameras over there in Indiana to see who pulled that fire alarm. But the game itself, it was the same stuff that kind of popped up. It feels like defensive breakdowns. And you look at Indiana. Offensively, they were 12th in the conference in scoring. 113th in the nation in adjusted offense. And Wisconsin's defense was putrid last night. Indiana was kind of dominating in the paint in the early goings. They were able to penetrate to the lane. Quick guards. Wisconsin can't slow them down. Stephen Crawl, defensively down in the post. I mean, where's the defense for this team? Times Indiana was just bullying Wisconsin last night. And when you've got poor defensive play, like this Badger basketball team has right now, you got to be perfect. You almost got to nearly be perfect on offense. I feel like we're talking about the Packers when we're talking about this now, where you almost got to be like perfect on offense to make up for the inefficient defensive play at this point in time. And maybe on the upside, I feel like we've been kind of having this topic for a lot of our main teams in Wisconsin right now. Whether it's got to be almost perfect defensively because your offense isn't going to do anything. Brewers last year. Bucks. Their offense was great. Defense was awful at the beginning. Now it was kind of like defense is getting better, but their offense stinks. Where's the complimentary basketball in this thing? But back to the Badgers. I mean, their offense had to be like almost good. I mean, I should say good, like perfect. And when your defense is struggling as much as they did, whew, and Wisconsin, here's a statistic from last night's game that to me is kind of really stands out too, and maybe in terms of aggressiveness and I know you can look at this team and be like, okay, who's the guy? And this is something I've said a few times, like, who is that guy that's kind of like your closer or the guy that you want the ball in their hands when it's tight, close at the end of the game to create something? I don't know if they have that guy, but here's a statistic. The Badgers went to the free throw line 3 times last night, to the charity stripe 3 times. That's it. That's it. 3 times. 2 of 3 from the free throw line. That's ridiculous. Where's the aggressiveness? Where's driving lane? They call it free throws. They call it the charity stripe for a reason. 3 times? That's inexcusable. And Wisconsin, I know they were out-rebounding them on the offensive side, but they weren't capitalizing. I think on their 10 offensive rebounds, they just got 5 points off that? And then Indiana out-rebounded them on the defensive side by 10, plus 10. And, you look at, again, bench production. Blackwell, the freshman, hey, he played 23 minutes. He had 11 points. He was like one of the lone bright spots. After that, nothing. Literally nothing in terms of bench production. Connor, 6 minutes, 0 for 2 from the field. Winner, 0 for 1. It's frustrating. And the Badgers, again, shot 30.8% from 3. And Indiana, not a good shooting team, not a good 3-point shooting team coming into this game. They shot the ball well last night from 3. Maybe a little bit of that luck, could be. But where's the defense? Where's the perimeter defense? Where's the aggressiveness? They shot 6 of 14 for nearly 43% from 3. It seems like, again, it's a broken record, a lot of the same stuff. Is it? So here's the nugget from 3. Indiana was 16 of 70 from 3 on its 4-game losing streak that they were currently on. That's 22.9%. Indiana had quite a few open looks last night, and they took advantage of it, shooting 42.9% from 3. And Wisconsin, for the most part, when you look at it from opponent's side, they've done a good job in terms of limiting attempts from opponents from 3-point, but the percentage is 36.5%, which is second worst in the league in allowing. And you got to give credit to Indiana. I mean, they had a couple Ware, 27 points. I mean, the guy was on fire. 11 of 12 from the field. Dude was just taking over. Torched the Badgers. But again, where's that maybe that one guy that this Badgers team, like, you're like, okay, crunch time. You want the ball in his hands, but also that guy on the defensive side, it's like, okay, shut it down. Shut it down. But Ware was able to drive the lane, posting up Chucky Hepburn, mid-range, long range. Dude was playing awesome. You got to give him a little credit there. So I don't want. I'm not one of those that likes to preach firing or fire this guy or cut this guy or whatever. I don't. I want everybody to succeed. I want coaches to succeed. I want players to succeed and all that. But you kind of, I wonder if you look at this, what I would love to know what's going on in Chris McIntosh's mind right now when he sees this team. And maybe some of it too is that got caught up in the hype. I mean, I think we all I'll go back to it when they were ranked 6. It's like, holy, you know what? Holy cow. Holy crap. Yep, Nation overlooked the Badgers again. Here they are, outperforming expectations. Well, maybe they've come down to earth and this is what they were supposed to be this year. Maybe. But I do wonder what is going. I would love to be like in the mind of Chris McIntosh right now. And I think he's still kind of fairly new that we don't really know what he's thinking, what kind of moves he maybe has on the horizon or what he's thinking. Yes, he's made some bold moves, bringing in Luke Fickell, moving on from Paul Chris and bringing in Luke Fickell. I think we kind of saw the writing on the wall with Tony Granato and that hockey team, but right now it sure seems like he nailed that hiring of Mike Hastings. And this year, this team has blown out expectations, surpassed expectations for that hockey team. I mean, we're talking about potentially winning the Big Ten this weekend if they can take care of business against Michigan State. But all that factored in, you kind of won. Like, I think there's that thought from some fans out there. It's like, okay, we've seen what McIntosh has done with a couple big time programs already, making changes, making moves. And I think that's where you're seeing some more chatter out there is like where some fans are expecting or thinking maybe a move's going to be made. Because it seems like McIntosh, when he sees something that's maybe not kosher, not up to par, he's not afraid to make a bold move, to make a move at that point. Even if they are his mentor, Barry Alvarez's picks. We've seen that a couple times, right? So I'll tell you right now, I don't know what's going to happen with Greg Gard and his future. I could see, I mean, would we be surprised either way? Maybe you would prefer a decision over another, but in terms of like, would you actually be surprised if he's coaching again next year, given another year? I wouldn't be. Would you be surprised if at the end of the season a change is be made? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I honestly wouldn't. This trend is not good right now. But maybe that's our fault too as fans because did we have, drank the Kool-Aid a little too much when they got up to number 6? And it's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have. I drank it. I was pumped. I'm a fan. I want my teams to be good. And when they're ranked number 6, heck yeah, I'm going to be like all pumped up and excited about it. Why wouldn't you? I don't want to be the fan like Randy Quaid in Major League 2 Coming up with excuses for your team's success all the time. Yeah, they'll blow it in the play. I don't want to be that kind of fan. There's too many of those out there already. But it's going to be interesting to kind of follow this in the offseason, depending on how this team finishes the rest of the season. Right now, update on the poll, 56% of you, 56% of you saying that guards should be let go. 25% of you saying given another year. 19% of you saying not his fault at all. All right, let's take a quick break. That second poll question, let's get some more votes on there too. Again, if you don't have Twitter, you can text me with your picks or your comments or your thoughts. But the second poll question, who's the best non-quarterback player in the NFL right now? I mean, based off the votes, maybe I selected the right three. But right now, a wide majority, 76% of you going with Christian McCaffrey, 17% going Justin Jefferson, 11% going Tyreek Hill. The fourth option is other, but you got to tweet me a name. And so far, nobody's done that. Is there a defensive player? Would you throw in TJ Watt? Take away the Badger, take away fanism. Try to look at this from a neutral perspective, okay? Neutral perspective. Is there a defensive player that you would throw into that? Aaron Donald, would you still put him up there? Or Myles Garrett just won Defense Player of the Year? Not surprised with the majority going with McCaffrey. Maybe a little surprised of how big the gap is right now, but hit me up with your votes either on Twitter or on that texting line. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll hit that up. We got Bucks to talk about too. Bucks big time win last night, dominated the Hornets, beat down. You wanna do something fun with it, maybe spending it, on yourself. But what? Well, if you're a hunter, how about a new deer rifle or shotgun for turkey and bird hunting? Got spring turkey season coming up here soon. Now that I piqued your interest, it's time to visit Tilden Gun. Family owned and operated. Sean and Hunter from Tilden Gun are ready to help you find that new deer rifle or shotgun for your next hunting adventure. With the biggest selection in the area and all the best prices, they will help you find just what you're looking for. You can either visit tildengun.com to check out their selection and order online, or stop by at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls to see what they have in their store, including their used selection and their wall of handguns, plus all the accessories you may need. So once you get that tax return this year, have some fun with it. Have some fun with it. Spoil yourself and upgrade to a new deer rifle or shotgun for turkey hunting this year. You deserve it, and let Tilden Gun help you find that firearm that you're looking for. Quick little note here too, by the way. I gonna give you a little tease, but cue the music. Okay, so they got the little mask in there. Next week, we will officially announce the dates for the fourth annual Casper Classic and open up registration already, where you will be able to sign up for your teams for the fourth annual Casper Classic. So, little tease that's coming at you next Friday. Okay, next Friday, March 8th. So, just teasing that out a little bit there. Few of you have asked. I already know the date. But we're gonna launch it, so I'm not just gonna give you the day I wanna launch it so you can start to sign up and reserve. We've sold out every single year, so you wanna make sure that, you get your teams in, so and if anybody's interested again in being a whole sponsor or sponsor overall, hit me up, let me know, okay? Let me know. We'll work at it, but again, it's our big Backyard Dreams fundraiser of the year, so a huge thanks to everybody who has participated in it over the years, and who's going to win the belts this year? Who's going to win the title belts this year? Illini Greg going to defend the championship. Somebody else going to be coming through. All right, Bucks dominating last night, picking up the win against the Charlotte Hornets. This is exactly what I wanted to see. 123-285. Beatdown. Charlotte only putting up 26 points at the half. Kind of just let it. I don't want to say that the Bucks kind of called it, in the fourth quarter there. Charlotte outscored them 36-27. But I mean, you had Giannis and Dame only having to play 24 minutes last night. The big thing, and once had this throughout this nugget at the beginning of the program here. This was again from Justin Garcia from Brewers Radio Network. Bucks defensive rating in the 13 games since Doc Rivers took over is 110.4. Tied with the Cleveland Cavaliers for fifth best in the league. By the way, Cleveland hitting that epic game-winning 60-footer to win, so they still are up above the Bucks in the standings. But tied with the Cavs for the fifth best in the league. It's third best since the coaching change, including Joe Prunty's 3 games as interim head coach. I think the biggest thing. So we've seen defensive improvement from this Bucks team. We've also seen offensive numbers go down a little bit. Under Adrian Griffin, second highest scoring team in the league behind Indiana, one of the highest ones. Remember play-in tournament when it was Bucks and Indiana? Everybody was like, "Oh, good Lord, this is going to be a high-scoring game. Buckle up." And ever since then, it's been a little down offensively. I think the big reason why is they're just slowing it down a little bit. They're slowing it down a little bit. And this Bucks team now with Giannis and Dame, they're grinding it out, playing efficient basketball, and just grinding it out with these teams, making these teams, just kind of work at it, trying to beat this team. It's not a shootout. It's not a race up and down the court. It's not necessarily fast-paced and all that. And I think by slowing it down a little bit, not only have we seen it help improve the defense, but I feel like that's also helping the Giannis and Dame connection a little bit. Because there was always this thought like, oh, are they on the same page yet? Are they not quite on the same page yet? I think by just kind of like, All right, let's take a step back here a little bit. We know we got a lot of offensive firepower. We know we got players, but let's just take it back a little bit. It's not necessarily like taking your foot off the gas and not being aggressive. I think they're just kind of slowing it down a little bit and making and grinding out teams and playing just more efficient basketball. And I think that's allowing this team to kind of start to gel and kind of start to play as a cohesive group. And I think this is the trend you're going to see. I think you're going to see the Bucks, not going to be averaging 130 points, 120 some points every night. They may win games by like 190 or 105 to 97, something like that. And that's okay. I'm okay. If this is what it's going to take for this team to finally kind of get everything together, I'm fine with that. The only statistic I worry about right now is wins. That's all I care about. I want this team to win. Not put up 140 points if it means you're going to give up 130. Not, allow. I mean, obviously, we would allow this team to, allow as few points as possible. But I don't care about individual statistics. I don't care about the only team statistic I care about right now is wins versus losses. And I think this is the main change that we're seeing with this Bucks team is that they're just kind of, slowing it down a little bit. Playing more efficient basketball and forcing teams to kind of grind it out. And they're grinding down teams too with their style of play. And I think you're starting to see more of a connection between Dame and Giannis. Like that nonverbal communication, that's so key. And that's where I think it's going to hopefully make these two really dangerous when it gets to postseason time. Chris Middleton's close to coming back, Doc Rivers said. Don't expect him to be on this road trip, though, this quick road trip where they go to Charlotte on Thursday, then they got Chicago on Friday. Doc did say if Middleton did go with them, though, that he probably would be playing. So he's close. I still feel like maybe we're going to see him next week at the beginning of that stretch run where that's a tough schedule coming up there. But it's also a great test to see where this team's going to be, where they're at as they get closer to the postseason. All right, we got a couple minutes. Good morning, Morgs.
Nice Man Cave podcast hat.
Thank you.
Repping that. Is that some of the new merch?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to take a swig of cough.
Is that what's in there?
Yeah.
Smells a little bourbony.
Yeah. Victory Scotch on a Wednesday.
Talking basketball. What's your favorite basketball shot to make? I only bring this up because I snagged Siggy from Open Gym over the weekend, and she got in the car on cloud 9 because she hit a perfect swish from the 3. What's your favorite shot to make in basketball? Take yourself back to the glory days on the Medford. Are you a layup guy?
Sweet spot, we call it the sweet spot.
All right, let's talk about the sweet spot.
My driveway, my sweet spot.
Okay.
Was if I'm looking at it, the right wing, the right side.
Okay.
Loved this. That was my sweet spot.
You hit them all the time, all day long?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, what's your favorite position, if not just for your sweet spot shot, but just position? Are you post? What are you?
I liked, so it'd be like the 3.
Okay.
Small forward guard sort of stuff.
So now translate that to watching a game. Do you like to watch those positions closer, the ones you played or do you kind of take in the whole thing?
Whole thing.
Yeah.
Big
picture.
Yeah, I love my 90s hoops where it was more post play and inside out sort of play, where this one is just chuck it up from 40 feet.
Okay.
Sort of thing. So, but that's the style of game now.
Okay.
I mean, even Hudson, that's what he's doing. He's just chucking up threes in a driveway.
Do you think he's going to be a baller?
Oh, his top 2 is football and basketball easily.
Right there. So more so than sitting out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
See, we're gearing up for softball season. Siggy picked the diamond. That's her sport of choice right now. So.
Yeah, he's not feeling baseball right now, which he's like me.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, it's like, okay, it's football season, I'm football.
So you just shift gears. It's always a season. It just is centric to that sport.
Yep.
I can see that.
It's whatever's on TV that he can watch too.
Well, except figure skating, which is weirdly on now, but does not fill the gap that NFL leaves behind when it lives for the season.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, so we're going to do Wednesday wild card. Pick a number between 1 and 10.
7.
What's your go-to midnight snack?
Chips.
Really?
I'm very unhealthy.
No, it's not unhealthy. Chips are a thing. They
Yeah.
don't count. They don't count past the 8 o'clock hour. But you got to give us a bet. Are you a Sun Chip guy? Are you a baked Lay's guy? Are you salt and vinegar?
I would eat more Sun Chips are underrated in my opinion.
Siggy loves a good Sun Chip.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's always like the Doritos or just
Cheetos?
Doritos.
Yeah, but are you Cheetos too?
Kinda.
Cool Ranch or Nacho Doritos?
Cool Ranch,
All day
100%.
long?
Yes.
Okay. As the
Yeah.
kids call it at the concession stand, the blue bag.
Yeah.
You want the blue bag of Doritos all day long.
100%. Yep.
All right, time for one more wild card question.
Yep.
1 through 10.
We'll go 4.
Who would play you in a movie of your life?
Matthew McConaughey.
You wish. You wish. Who would really play you?
Everybody says I look like Zelensky from the Ukraine.
You do.
So
You do have that
because he used to be a
president
comedian, right? So he's kind of an actor.
Yeah, you do have that Zelensky look.
Yeah.
I think he's tied up right now, though. He's not
Yeah.
really busted into the movie scene with this whole
little
war
busy,
thing going
so-
on. He's got his hands pretty tied up.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get mad on it then.
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right.
I know.
Yeah.
Right? We can do it.
It
So
could work. Now we got to think of the title.
Michael
next.
Keaton, too.
Dazed and
I'm Batman.
Confused.
Yeah.
Oh.
Second hour kicking off on this Wednesday morning. Appreciate you tuning in, however, wherever you may be tuning in from. Reminder, it's the second weekend, second movie for the Spring Kids movies with Micon Cinemas and Backyard Dreams. We've got the original, the OG, Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau this weekend at the Micon Cinemas location in the Oakwood Mall for just $3 admission, $2 popcorns, $2 sodas. Portions of the proceeds going to help Backyard Dreams. So big thanks to Micon Cinemas for partnering up with us to do that. So we got Bad News Bears. Again, your schedule. Bad News Bears this weekend. We got Kicking and Screaming next weekend. March 16th through the 17th is Bingo. March 23rd through the 24th. Perfect timing for opening day coming up. Field of Dreams. And then we end with another original March 30th through the 31st. Right before Final Four is Space Jam. So you can check out more details on Facebook, Mycon's page, our page at sportstalk1051.com. Coming up in about an hour, a little under an hour, we'll do another edition of the Business of Sports brought to you by Security Financial Bank. We'll get to that. We've got some more hoops talk coming up here. Quick update on the poll question here for you Badger fans. Should Badgers head coach Greg Gard, option 1, be let go at the end of the season? Option 2, given another year? Option 3, not his fault at all? 61.9% of you saying be let go at the end of the season. 23.8% of you saying given another year. 14.3% of you saying not his fault at all. If you don't have Twitter and you'd like to vote or give us your thoughts on it, you can hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text, 715-830-1912. And updates on the second poll question that we also have out there. Who is the best non-quarterback player in the NFL? Wide majority going Christian McCaffrey. 71.4% of you saying it's Christian McCaffrey. Second place is Justin Jefferson at 19%. Tyreek Hill coming in at 9.5%. Nobody else going with other. So 0 right there. So almost 3/4 of you going with Christian McCaffrey. We'll get to some football talk coming up a little bit later on, too. We begin this hour, though, with another edition of Classes in Session. So on this day, 1940, the first college basketball game was on TV. It was against the powerhouses of Pittsburgh versus Fordham University. Pittsburgh won the game 57-37. It was played at Madison Square Garden, broadcasted by NBC on W2XBS. Viewers were, estimates vary, according to NCAA.com, from 400 to 1,000. The game was broadcast on W2XBS, one of a handful of experimental stations started as forerunners to the modern television broadcast networks. Today, W2XBS is now known as WNBC or Channel 4 New York, the flagship station of the NBC television network, the most famous arena in the country and the home to plenty of famous college basketball moments to come, was the perfect spot to debut this new technology. The doubleheader that day in 1940 included a second act with number 1 ranked NYU against Georgetown. So there you got it. Get a little history nuggets of this day. That was 84 years ago. Is that right?
What was the year again?
1940?
Yes.
84 years ago.
WNBC.
Howard Stern. Yeah.
Radio, of course, not TV, but still WNBC.
I remember that from Howard Stern now. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. There's your little nugget, little history nuggets for you. Fordham University, 37 points. I was actually surprised it was 57-37. I thought it was going to be like 20-something to 11.
Now, by that point, the scoring was picking up a little bit. Was it 1940 when Wisconsin won the national championship?
Was it 40 or
41? I can't remember.
Let me look it up here.
Back when, and yes, you could put a slight asterisk and say the NIT was a bigger deal at the time, but in the lineage of national championships, NCAA national championships, that's what it is.
It was 1941.
Okay.
1941. So the following year.
A year before that.
Yep. So just looking at this, and Final Four is 1941, and then 2000, then 14 and 15. So
Well, there you go.
yeah.
Okay.
So
that was the second earliest national championship, team national championship in Badger history. Can you name, because I have it up right now on the Badger website, maybe you do too. Can you name which sport has the one older national championship in Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin history?
the one, it's not football.
Definitely not.
Um,
As my Gopher fandom will insist, no national championships.
yep.
Yeah.
Let me think about this. Is it rowing?
Nope.
Okay. National championship.
Here's your clue. The sport was a big freaking deal back then.
It wasn't baseball.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big deal back then, where now you're like, oh, okay. I'm not even sure do they have a team in this anymore? I don't know.
Do they have a team in this anymore?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, it's not baseball then, because
no, they don't. They don't have a team sport in this anymore.
Okay, and it was big in. Give me the year.
1939. They were national champions 8 times from 1939 to 1956. I don't know that the NCAA even has this sanctioned. I could be wrong.
Is it a team? It's got to be a team sport, right?
It's a team sport, yes. This is the second oldest.
It's not rowing. I'm trying to think.
Nope. But as a sport, culturally speaking, it was a big.
Boxing?
Yes.
Okay.
8-time national box. That's the sport in which the Badgers have most won NCAA championships. Men's rowing, they have 9, but they have 8 boxing titles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because as soon as you said, I started to think about when intern would talk about boxing down in Madison. So that's where it's like, I'm just going to throw that one out there. So yeah, boxing. All right.
Boxing is it.
Interesting.
And then it took after boxing and outside of that one men's basketball title, took till the Badger men's hockey team in 73 before they won a national championship.
Be a fan of, but it's not like Rocky, so I can't be a fan.
Is there? Yeah, the NCAA boxing championship was discontinued after 1960.
Okay.
There is the National Collegiate Boxing Association that started in 76. There's the U.S. Intercollegiate Boxing Association. It came about in 2012, so there are ways to do it, but it's not an NCAA sanctioned sport anymore.
Gotcha.
Wisconsin, hands down, the most dominant team in NCAA history.
Do they got banners for that at the field house?
I don't know. They should. I mean, they're national championships. You should own it.
Anybody been at the field house lately that can let us know that? Let me know.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Does it say 8-time boxing champions, University of Wisconsin?
Yeah.
And why not? And I'm not being facetious. You won a national championship, put it up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even if it's not sanctioned anymore, would you? Would if you were in charge, if you had to say, would you?
The only way I wouldn't is if the NCAA had a rule like you can't talk about NCAA championships for something that we don't sanction anymore. And which sounds stupid. It's also the NCAA.
Yeah.
So maybe so.
I mean, a lot of teams put up banners for everything except Green Bay. They don't put up banners for division championships, as Goody announced again at the combine yesterday. Don't know if that was a dig at the Lions or not, but yeah. Hey, come on! I'd be good with a rivalry there. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
So
it'd be a fun one right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't know if they do. It's been a while since I've been in the field house, so I don't remember.
I'll do a little Googling to see if I can find some banners or something.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of the Badgers, there we spent the first hour talking about this basketball team, 2-6 since being ranked number 6 in the country. February 1st is that game against Nebraska. Okay, they went in that game number 6. They've been 2-6. 2-6 since being ranked number 6. They are now number 5 in conference, which means they don't get the double bye in conference tournament if the conference tournament started today. I wouldn't hold my breath that they're going to make up any ground because 2 of their final 3 games now is against Illinois and Purdue. And they got Rutgers, who they lost to earlier this year. 62.5% of you believe Greg Gard should be let go at the end of the season. As a Gopher fan, what are your thoughts on the downfall of Badger basketball right now? The wild card to me in this whole thing is I feel like McIntosh is still fairly new, like we don't have a good gauge of his mindset. But then you look at the instant turnaround that men's hockey team has had in the first year of Mike Hastings, where they could win a Big Ten championship this weekend, which blows. I mean, we were talking with RJ, like nobody expected that this year this team to be this good. And the biggest thing that he went from talking to people down there has just been simply accountability, a change in accountability from the player's perspective. Does that instant turnaround kind of like make it for a guy like McIntosh be like, man, it worked for hockey. Can it work for basketball?
Yeah, that's the question. Can it work? You got to find the right person to do that.
Right. Yeah, because that's the thing is like, okay, you're going to make that move. Realistically, who is somebody out there that you're confident you can bring in? Is it Lamont Paris? Is he, the job he's doing in the SEC with South Carolina? You willing to bring that one in? Luke Fickell, I know down year for Badgers, maybe a little bit lower than the expectation. But I think for the most part, people are still excited about the Luke Fickell era, right? So is there that coach out there? Is there that coach out there where this is what Chris McIntosh has to answer? Feels like would be an upgrade that could turn it around a little bit. Because the offensive numbers are better this year, but the defense stinks, which is weird to say for a Badger basketball team.
And I mean, to answer your question as a Gopher fan, I'm like, hi, we're right behind you. We might catch you. I don't know that it is going to happen, but would not have expected to say that in late February. I'm kind of moving into as a non-Badger fan where I don't know that. I mean, they're my team's rivals, so of course there's part of me that doesn't want to see them. It's more of a rivalry.
So answer it this way.
Yeah,
we've had this, in other sports, like please keep that coach or please keep that player because we beat you. So answer it that way.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that I would be fine with them. This is a hard one to describe because I'm kind of mid on the whole thing, honestly. Like, again, the qualifier, Greg Gard as a person, awesome. By all accounts, awesome. I think they still have a higher ceiling that they can't quite achieve, but it's potentially there. They could get higher. I'm of the opinion that in the transfer portal NIL era, that the odds of them getting back to the Final Four have increased compared to several years ago when, like you said, after that second Final Four appearance, that national championship, that was probably it. At that point, that was a reasonable expectation. I think they could get back again, which means I think you could take more chances, but that also means maybe the floor is lower too. I don't know. I don't think the Badger men's basketball floor is that low anyway. I don't think that they're lower than like 8th or 9th, which right now, quick scan, that would be like an 8-10 team. It's like Penn State territory. I don't think they're ever going to be really that much worse than that. There's too much inertia with that team.
Well, we got to remember though too, USC, UCLA, Oregon, those teams are going to be joining the conference here too.
But even with them, and there are some good ones. I mean, UCLA and all their Final Fours. Oregon's had some really good teams in there. I still don't think Wisconsin. I mean, I'd be more worried for the teams towards the bottom right now. Like, how bad is it going to get? I mean, there's some of them like Maryland and Michigan. Where it's not like they're exactly a bottom feeder of the Big Ten historically. But maybe that's the ultimate push. Whereas if I'm leaning, move on from Gard, the incoming schools make it, you really do have to move on from Gard. In terms of my rivalry sense, I mean, I don't know that it really matters anymore, right? I'm more concerned with that program just establishing its basic foundation, which is much better this year, but build on that. Worry about your rivals later on. For Wisconsin's sake, I would think towards the future now. Short of going on a run to win the Big Ten tournament championship and going on a Sweet 16 run, and then okay, maybe we're keeping. I think it's time to move on. I'm kind of settling in that.
Time to move on from
Greg
Gard to in. Yeah,
it's more. Where are we going at this point? It's not a matter of he sucks. Doesn't suck, and he's probably going to go on to maybe he's going to coach somewhere else. Maybe not. But if he does, he'll do well with that other program, and maybe, given the dynamics of that program, there's actually an easier path. Maybe it's in a mid-major or something. You can win the conference championship there, get a really good seed, and then let the chips fall where they may in a tournament and go on a big run. Because then you just got to win like 4 in a row. It sounds like just got to win, but you can. Easier than in the behemoth that's going to be the Big Ten, which is all being driven by football anyway. I'm sure there's a lot of these basketball coaches are like, really? This is what we're going to deal with next year? Also, y'all can get all the football money, and they all get it, but still, there's probably a lot of eye rolling across the Big Ten basketball scene, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I think they move on. I think they should move on.
And I know there's, some fans have said, well, he's and I don't want to speak for everybody who maybe voted in this one, but it's like they don't have the players to kind of take over a game or do this and that. But at the same point, though, too, doesn't that fall on coaching a little bit to not coach your players that way or bring in players recruiting wise to have that, on your roster? It's some point it does fall on the coaching and the head coach, whether we like it or not. That who's the ultimate scapegoat, I guess, maybe, if that's the right phrase. It's the coaching.
Well, what's the pattern since Greg Gard's taken over? And I mean that's not a rhetorical question. What's the pattern in his tenure?
Mediocre. I think there's been some teams where you can say maybe it's so weird because he came on the scene, right, and instantly led 2 teams to a Sweet 16. Surpassed expectations. Fair to say.
Yeah.
Could have been an Elite 8 if it wasn't for that final game-winning shot against Florida at the Madison Square Garden. Right. Was that his first or second year?
I can't remember.
But we all remember that game, the little floater in there. And then it was like, okay, higher expectations. Can you continue? And I think maybe we had that bar so high at certain points that the fact that they didn't reach it maybe is because we had that bar at such a high level. I don't know, but I feel like at times there's been a lot of inconsistency with some of these teams where it's been, and maybe this is the year that kind of perfectly it patterns that, where at the beginning of the year nobody had expectations, and then they started to win. It's like, see, everybody overlooked Wisconsin again, and then you reach number 6 and potentially could really solidify yourself as one of the better teams in the country, and you've fallen off the face of the earth. I mean, this is an avalanche to be down this far in just a matter of 28 days at this point in time.
This is a streaky team under Gard.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it too.
Which, I mean, I that could be a knock because you typically like consistency, but that also means you can get some pretty big highs. Earlier this season, the turnaround, I can't remember what year it was, but a few years ago when they suddenly, they started off terrible, and next thing you knew, oh my gosh, what are they? And they saved their season. They're all over the place. I would think you'd want, as an athletic director, some more consistency.
And I know college basketball, you go through your highs and lows, right? We see that with a lot of the top programs. 1 year you're down, a couple of years you're at the. I mean, it was just a few years ago Virginia won a national championship, and Virginia is not Virginia right now. You go through that with recruiting classes. It's, I don't want to sit there and say like there's always, it's not like college football where it seems like it's Alabama and Georgia all the time, right? You go through your ebbs and flows in that, but it just, the inconsistencies, the streakiness of this is just, it's the frustrating part of it. And especially this year, it's like, hey, highest offensive efficiency team in the Gard era, but what the hell is wrong with the defense now? It's almost kind of like Bucks-ish. And it's weird to say that it's a Badgers team that is struggling defensively.
It's a little whack-a-mole-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I think, ultimately is what is your expectations for this program? Is it to compete for national championships, or is it just to compete for maybe Big Ten championships? And that maybe is the ultimate deciding factor in what you decide to do going forward.
I think I might know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway.
I think it's clearly evident from when you hear McIntosh talk. It's national championships.
Yeah. Is it easier for the Badger men's basketball team to win a national championship or the Badger football team to win a national championship?
Basketball.
See, I think that's where more of the pressure has to come right now, which is weird to say with everything. Football, got to get them. Well, actually, yeah, I think so. Which means I think the pressure is stronger on Guard at this point than Fickle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a broad sense, not on a, hey, Fickle just started and Guard's been around since the teens. No, it's
going to be harder to win the Big Ten Conference in football now with the expansion than it would be with basketball.
Right. Even with an expanded playoff,
right,
it's also still tougher because of the top of the sport. Again, maybe that changes in 10 years. We get some Super League, and maybe if the Badgers end up being part of that.
And especially, too,
maybe it's easier. I don't know.
With football, too, I mean, we know it's like, the top 5 or conference winners plus your Power 5, and then it's the highest ranked ones after that. But with like a conference like the Big Ten, they're going to beat up on each other so much, where it's going to come to that's going to affect the rankings, too. I mean, there could be a team that has 3 or 4 losses that we think is better than a team that's got 1 or 2 losses, but the rankings may not signify that because they're just going to beat up on it. Whereas at least in basketball, yeah, you may beat up on each other, but everybody's got a shot when it comes to the tournament too.
Right. So it's 64 or 96 as it may will be in the near future.
Yeah,
I'm already dreading that.
It's probably Jim Boeheim's okay with it.
Really?
He was on Dan Patrick the other day, and he was okay with it.
Why?
I didn't quite hear his full reason because I was working on something and I had it in the background. But yeah, he was okay with it.
I mean, if I can be convinced it's good, I mean, sure. I don't want to hate it just to hate it. It seems watered down, but someone can make a case. Maybe I'll get on board if it happens, and I still don't know that it will.
Yeah. Well, the president opened the door, so
yeah, I know,
and
it makes me a little concerned.
I guess I would be curious to see the structure of it first.
Yeah.
Because then if we're talking about extending it, then you're talking about, I like the flow of how April goes, or the end of March. You've got opening day at the end of March. You've got the Final Four that weekend, National Championship Monday, and then you flow right into the Masters. It's the perfect setup.
So now is it going to be Final Four versus the Masters?
And I don't want that. And Jim Nantz doesn't want that, for crying out loud. Well, Jim Nantz isn't doing basketball anymore, so I guess it doesn't matter anymore. So
that's true.
He's done with that. So
hello, friends.
Yeah, which is going to be weird, but it is what it is.
All right.
So he doesn't give a rip.
No, he doesn't. But I'm sure CBS is going to be like,
CBS is going to be like the one. Wait, no.
Yeah. And I mean, they're paying a lot of money for one thing, and they're paying a lot of money for the other. And that's their 2 things. Are like, you don't do this to us. Like, why? Or maybe they push everything back a little further, which I wouldn't entirely mind that.
Yeah.
I mean, do we need all of these extra tournaments? The battle for Atlantis. Do we really? And I know part of that's the Christmas schedule too, and when they have games, I understand that. But if you're gonna have like 2 Big Ten games in early December, cool. Make it 4, expanded by a week. There's your answer. I mean, you know what? They probably already thought through a lot of this already. There are already machinations of how this could work, and maybe again it doesn't come to fruition, but they've already thought through a lot of this. It would be tougher to go further backwards than to maybe chip away earlier in the year, if that's what happens.
Yeah.
Or get rid of the conference tournaments. How about that?
I'm not a fan of conference tournaments.
No. Who likes them?
Teams that have a shot to clinch a spot.
Yeah, I guess. And the ACC one or ACC historically is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest one, but I get it. I understand it at certain levels. So
yeah.
I mean, I look at, maybe more locally, D3, stout women's basketball. They win a tournament. Now they get to go to the tournament. So
right. Now, it also depends on the nature of the tournaments. And
right.
We know why some of these exist at the Division I level. Just to make money.
Right. Yep. All right. We got to take a break. We'll be back. We'll talk a little football, change it up here. And then we got business and sports coming up just past 8 o'clock. Stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We know Mike's Starter Market is your go-to place for quality and flavor when it comes to brats, steaks, burgers, and chicken. And Mike's is also your go-to place when it comes to snack sticks, jerky, and now freeze-dried candy. There's so many different flavors of freeze-dried candy you will want to try them all. But I'll tell you, if you try out the Jolly Rancher ones over there, $1 per bag goes to Backyard Dreams over there. So if you try the Jolly Rancher freeze-dried candy from Mike Star Market, $1 per bag goes to Backyard Dreams. So get on over there, grab them, try them, and then you're helping out Backyard Dreams. I think, Luke, you got another idea for your blog on aroundthe715.com for desserts.
Yay.
Jolly Rancher candy. So do it, man.
Made here in the Chippewa Valley?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Very nice.
Over at Mike Star Market. So
very nice.
Yep. Exactly.
I have to go try it.
Exactly. All right. Let's talk a little football here before we got to take a break here. Coming up a little long. We usually do, but that's okay. We have another poll question up, and this is because of your Vikings general manager who said this yesterday at the combine in his presser. He was talking about Justin Jefferson, saying, dude's going to get paid. He deserves to get paid. You know, he's going to get paid by Minnesota. Let's not kid ourselves. But he said he believes he's the best non-quarterback player in the NFL. So we put up a poll question. Who do you think is the best non-quarterback player in the NFL? Wide majority going 73.9% of you. Christian McCaffrey. Justin Jefferson is in second at, okay, that just changed on me. 72% Christian McCaffrey. 16% Justin Jefferson. We've got 8% Tyreek Hill. Somebody just voted for other, but in order for that to count, you got to tweet at me who it is. So I don't know who you have right now, but is your Justin Jefferson the best non-quarterback player in the league or somebody else, in your opinion?
See, I mean, the way McCaffrey played this year, that was veritably MVP level. Then again, Jefferson always does like what? It's tough. Jefferson.
You gonna go Jefferson?
Yeah. I would buy a hair over McCaffrey, but I'll take Jefferson.
Honestly, it's between those two for me as well.
Yeah.
I thought about putting TJ Watt in there too, and that's why I kind of put the other on there. If you want to go like consistency wise, TJ Watt's been pretty dynamite on the defensive end. I know Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Year this past year, and there was still some debate whether he should have over TJ Watt. But man, I think I might go with you with McCaffrey, just a slight hair over Jefferson. But if somebody wanted to tell me it was Justin, I wouldn't argue too much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you could because they have different styles. That's why it's tougher to compare.
Mm-hmm.
McCaffrey's so good inside. Jefferson is so good outside. That's the real difference.
But McCaffrey, he can affect the passing game too. You know, like as a receiver,
right?
So
it's that Jefferson can get such yardage so quickly and can get touchdowns in ways that are rarely accomplished by many other players. So there's all he does is catch touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a tortured analogy, but it's kind of there. Gosh.
If I asked this 2 years ago, would Aaron Donald be the answer?
I think he would have. Like right around the time of the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Even a year before that? Yeah, probably.
I contemplated him too, and it's not to say he's fallen off or anything like that, but I mean,
age has happened. Okay, a little bit.
Like 2018 when he had 20 and a half sacks, you know, that run that he had. I think, 2018, 19, 20, whatever, a few years ago, if we asked that, I probably would put Aaron Donald up there.
Yeah.
He was so dominant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's still dominant, but he was so dominant right there. So
certain players will have their moments. Myles Garrett for a few weeks was like, oh my, what is he doing this past year? And then, of course, ends up winning Defensive Player of the Year. But there was a moment you're like, could he be the best in the league? But those are short sample sizes overall. You didn't see as much from Jefferson because he was out so much this year. But you could have said the same thing about McCaffrey in many prior years. Mm-hmm. You didn't see a lot of Christian McCaffrey. They're also usually at the top of the fantasy drafts. Who's it typically? It's Justin Jefferson or Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
That should tell you a fair amount. But again, they deliver points in different ways. So yeah, it's like a 1A and 1B.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It is.
If a team had both Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey, how would they do?
That's not fair.
But would they have the money to spend across the rest of the team?
They would probably be like, let's say, the 2011 Packers.
A
lot of offense and no defense,
and losing to the Giants in the divisional round.
Yeah, something like that.
Ugh.
Right. I mean, it's kind of similar a little bit with 49ers with McCaffrey, and they've got a lot of other off. I mean, how many All Pros do they have All-Pro tight end first team, All-Pro wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. The only one who didn't have an All-Pro was Deebo Samuel, for crying out loud. So,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't win it all.
Yeah, that's probably the answer.
We've seen some really good offenses out. Who was it? There was one that just had this dynamite running back and wide receiver not that long ago. Who am I thinking of? Oh, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
Didn't the Steelers have Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown at the same time?
I think so. Right about the time when Antonio Brown was at that, there was that about year-long period where he kind of broke through the, making a weather analogy here. You get like those thunderstorm clouds, you do like the anvil, and then sometimes you start seeing it push through the top. You're like, oh my gosh, that storm is incredibly intense. And that was like that moment for Antonio Brown, about that year-long period. What was it, around 2015 or 16 or so? He is the dominant receiver of the NFL. We're in the Antonio Brown era.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was right about the time, right before Bell started to say stuff, right? Marijuana suspensions. And then that's, of course, right before all things Antonio Brown happened. I think that was around that, because the 2016 season was when the Steelers went to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, so
they lost to the Patriots.
I've got both their numbers up here. So 2014, Le'Veon Bell was his second year. That's when he had over 1,300 yards rushing and 854 yards receiving that year. And Antonio Brown in 2014, he had 1,698 receiving yards. So, yeah, I mean, you had those two together at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 14. So, and the following year, Antonio Brown 15 that was almost when he had 2,000 yards receiving. He had 1,800. And then Le'Veon only played 6 games that year. So,
okay, so it was around that time.
Yep.
Yeah, there might have been some other one, and I'm blanking too on what it was.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 2016, Le'Veon had 1,200 yards rushing, 616 receiving, and then Brown 1,200. But it looks like that 14 season would have been like where both of them were like on par or on the top there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that was that year. So they did play a few years together in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
over there. Maybe that's the one I was thinking about.
You might be. I'm struggling to think of a combination, because it wouldn't have been Derrick Henry and it wouldn't have been Marshawn Lynch and
maybe, and this is maybe kind of stretching, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah,
maybe
that's a stretch. There's no one for the Falcons. No one for the Broncos.
Adrian Peterson, who was the wide receiver when he was at the time. I mean, not really.
No one, no superstar. Not a Jefferson for sure.
Right.
Yeah. It's a little bit lacking.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, even like the Chiefs, they always kind of funneled in a running back.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's a tight end that you put in there.
Right.
It's someone else. No one of the Pats. I have to really think through this, but I'm not sure who that would be. Cowboys, Zeke, and he was post.
Would have been Zeke and not. So I guess it would have been DeMarco Murray and Des Bryant when Murray had that really good year in 14.
Yeah, maybe that's the one.
Maybe that is.
Tells you a lot about the Cowboys again.
I think that was 14 too, which would have been the same with the Steelers.
Gosh, it was the last great moment for a combined running back wide receiver thing.
Yeah, so DeMarco Murray in 2014 had over 1,800 yards rushing for the Cowboys that year. And then Des Bryant in 2014, he had over 1,300 yards receiving, and 16 touchdown catches. So maybe that was the other one too. Yeah, because DeMarco had 13 rushing touchdowns and over 1,800 yards rushing. Averaged 115 rushing yards per game that year.
Wow.
Think about it. And those two teams didn't even reach the conference championships. I don't think.
Defense wins championships.
Because that was the year. It was, but Packers and Seahawks.
Yeah.
And who did the Patriots beat that year in the championship? Was it the Steelers?
Patriots beat the Seahawks. Oh, in the AFC championship, that was the Colts.
Was it? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep, you're right.
It was the one Andrew Luck year.
Yep. So, there you go.
Yeah. Again, defense wins Hey, what did we just see in the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, the defense.
Defense wins championships. I mean, I know not every year, but it still holds, except in the NBA where defense does not exist.
Yep. All right, dude. Let's take another break and we'll finish up the second hour here. But you can still vote if you've got Twitter. You can vote on there. We'll keep you updated on the latest poll results and all that fun stuff. Get ready for a big battle at spring training today. We'll tell you about that coming up. It is tax season, so you may be a little frustrated trying to track down all those W-2s. You got your taxes done yet there, Lucas?
Nope.
There, see, right there. Then you're probably stressed out. Do you file yourself? Do you have somebody else do it for
I
you?
do it myself.
Okay.
It's more I just got to find like 10 minutes I can actually focus on taxes and not have my daughter come and be like, "Oh, where are we going now?"
Oh.
And then I enter in one extra digit and hey, here comes the IRS.
Yeah. Well, I already got mine done. Already got the refund.
Cool.
So yeah. But anyways, think about the light at the end of the tunnel with all that stress. It is that tax return. Now, what should you do with that extra cash burning a hole in your pocket? How about finally changing out that old floor in your home and getting some new luxurious carpet or vinyl planks from Wisconsin's premier flooring store, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whatever style of flooring you're looking for, or maybe you're not sure what style you want yet, team at Carpet City Flooring Center is waiting to help you find that perfect new floor for your space. fact, go check out their Facebook page, follow and like their Facebook page, and you can see some of the latest examples of some of the projects they've been working on over there too. So what the heck you waiting for? Once you get your taxes done, go visit Carpet City Flooring Center at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue and chat with one of their awesome team members. They'll help you so you can finally get that new floor in your home that you've been wanting for a while now. All the best prices because they will match or beat the competition. Tomorrow, a little bit of a programming note here. I mentioned Brandon's actually going to be in tomorrow, but also tomorrow, the new episode of the Rolling with the Golds podcast is going to be up an hour earlier. We actually, might as well say it, we did it yesterday, but got to the guest for that one is Chancellor Jim. Is on the Rolling with the Gold podcast, and I did face-to-face ask, can I teach a sports history class at the campus? You'll have to find out the answer.
Wow.
Face-to-face, got it on record. The answer, the official answer. So that's tomorrow. You'll be able to listen to that. That's your tease. So I did ask. I took the opportunity to ask.
All right.
And it's recorded.
You shot your shot.
I shot the shot, man. So we'll actually see if I got the answer that I was hoping for or not.
Did it clang?
Yeah. Was it Nick Anderson from the charity stripe or was it Caitlin Clark from the logo? You decide. You'll find out tomorrow. So, baseball wise, hey, how come nobody is so geeked up about this? We get Brewers Cubs today, and you can listen to it at the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Craig Counsell, the evil emperor, going up against his former team.
Yeah, where people from now representing the team where fans actually show up.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, him and Pat Murphy get into an argument when they exchange lineup cards.
Yeah.
You know, that's, will there be boos? Will there be cheers? Will there be
anything happening because it's spring training?
Yeah, it's spring training. Yeah. So, but no, we get Brewers Cubs today. So I'm sure they'll be talking about that a little bit on the telecast, right? Yeah. Having those two over there.
Sure.
So, Brewers yesterday falling to the Angels, but we got some good defensive play from Tyler Black, who was getting some time in at first base and third base. Sal Frelick made a nice catch in right field yesterday after getting the first two starts over there at third base for the Crew. So your Twinnies though made a trade the other day with the Dodgers.
And well, Margot, they wanted to get during the offseason. They ended up doing it via trade, but that's fine. It's depth. Mm-hmm. I know they're already getting super excited about Byron Buxton right now. I'm like, stories I didn't click on. I'm like I already want to put down. So what's the over-under on number of games into the season when Byron Buxton suffers his injury that results in a minimum 60 games lost this year?
Yeah.
Because it happens every year. I will be excited about Byron Buxton when he's playing like deeper into the playoffs and the only time he's missed is like the average time a player would have missed in a given season. Mm-hmm. Wake me up in like August or September.
I was going to say, wait a minute. It's actually September.
Yeah. When
Green
September.
Day.
Well, actually, that would be appropriate. Wake me up when September ends because then that would be perfect for the baseball season. Yeah. But Margot provides good defensive depth. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of offense, but sure, it's a decent move to make right now. It's not a move the meter kind of thing, but at least it prevents the Twins from having a big gap, literally and figuratively, if and when Byron Buxton goes down,
right,
with another injury. But yeah, I mean, right now, like if he holds as he's looking right now, he's looking great.
Well, and here's the thing too. How about this? You want to actually maybe see Byron Buxton play? Get on the bus with us.
Ooh.
Right? Minnesota, Milwaukee. Milwaukee's opening day, April 2nd.
Nice.
So just head to our website, sportstalk1051.com or wiscotrips.com. Ticket includes motor coach transportation game ticket on the Johnsonville party deck that includes food and beverages and tailgate party from Premier Catering. So better get on it before they are gone.
I did actually buy tickets to my first Brewers game since 2019. Obviously, pandemic stuff and distance that makes it not as easy to go to a Brewers game up here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, first time ever I'm going to see the Cincinnati Reds.
You want to see Ellie De La Cruz, huh?
Hey, yeah. Gosh, I didn't even think of that when I was buying the tickets. It was more like, what's a good weekend to go? Okay, which teams have I not seen? It's getting pretty small on the list. Reds are one of them. But yeah, Saturday, August 10th, wife and I are heading on down, and it is William Contreras City Connect jersey giveaway night. I'll be
nice.
rocking the powder blues
Nice.
around here. But yeah, hopefully Ellie De La Cruz is playing as well come August 10th as he was playing mid-year last year. He's still got to work on some aspects of his game, but the Reds are being talked about as a pretty potential sneaky team. Like I think they're usually picked about 4th right now in the NL Central, but that's one of those like futures bets teams. Kind of like maybe Arizona last year, where if you wanted to go in on a certain team, it was the Diamondbacks. Lo and behold, I think the Reds and the Tigers could be the two teams that could surprise, could really go on a run.
Gotcha.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. DL Hall, really quick. I want to make this or bring this up. We only got a couple minutes here, but DL Hall, one of the guys that the Brewers got in return from the Corbin Burns trade, the pitcher, he had a good day yesterday. Pat Murphy even saying Hall's got a chance to be a number 1, just because he's got overpowering stuff. This kid's electric. He mowed down Christian Yelich and Rhys Hoskins yesterday, striking both of them out. So there you go. This is what we got in spring training. Overreaction, freaking out. It might be a little too dramatic, but this is what he struck out those two. Dude's going to be awesome. I'm not picking on Pat Murphy or anything like that, but you know what I mean. It's just like, okay, hopefully this is what we see, in the regular season. But Yelich did say he's got good stuff, good slider, good heater, a lot of life to it. So,
I mean, Wyatt Langford right now is all the talk of baseball because it's early. The guy from the Rangers. Yeah. There's actually a pretty good story from Jeff Passan. I skimmed through it, and I mean, keep that name in the back of your head. Wyatt Langford could have been a thing in the postseason last year. They just didn't need him.
Right.
He could be a star, but it could also be it's February.
Yeah, I'm watching a little bit of video of DL Hall pitch, and Hoskins says the fastball jumps. He's an athletic dude. He's moving fast. He's not very big, but because he spins it, it jumps on you a little bit. That perceived velocity is not actually how fast it's coming. So we're all going to be paying extra attention to these two guys, DL Hall and Ortiz, because those are the two guys Brewers got in return for Corbin Burns. You're expecting those two guys to be really good players, because what's something Brewers fans have said with some of these trades? Want impact players. They didn't get it with the Josh Hader one.
No.
So hopefully we'll get it for the Corbin Burns one. So
yeah.
All right. Coming up, we got the business of sports brought to you by Security Financial Bank. So the salary cap went up by a lot more than what teams expected. Why was that? We'll explain some of the reasons why the salary cap went up so much the way it did. Also, Packers are raising ticket prices again, much to the, let's say, disappointment of fans. But we'll break that down here too. So 2 hours in, we got one more to go. We'll be back after these quick news updates. Third and final hour kicking off on this Wednesday morning. How were the roads when you came in there, Lucas?
Not super great, not the
Okay.
worst, but there are a few spots on Claremont where you'd probably rather not be flying around at like 60 miles an hour in a 45 zone. Like
Yeah.
observing others like, hope you got good tires.
Mhm.
But by and large, everyone seemed to be fine. I don't think we've heard too many, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've heard of too many accidents out there. And thing is, once the sun gets going with its angle, even with a high at 22, roads are going to be fine by the end of the day. I'm pretty sure.
There's your weather forecast by Lucas Anthony this morning.
13 first alert weather with unofficial meteorologist Luke Anthony.
Mm-hmm. Hey, don't worry. It'll be 70, it sounds like, in a few days here, too. So
I'm doing the
yeah.
polar plunge emceeing, not diving.
Oh, I thought you were actually doing it.
Oh, I
was
know.
like,
Well,
hey,
of course,
wait a
all
minute.
days, it's
Shield
the-
your eyes with that.
The bright white. 63, I think, is supposed to be the high. It's not really a cold day. Now, granted, I don't think the Chippewa River is going to be that warm on Saturday.
Right.
Or wherever exactly I presume they're diving into the Chippewa from Loopy's. But yeah, I'm going to be emceeing that, and it's going to be probably the warmest polar plunge on record, I have to imagine. Maybe not, but probably in the Chippewa Valley.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah. So it might be shorts weather for the polar plunge.
All right. So what else we got here? We had, I know I mentioned a couple times already, but boys high school basketball playoffs began last night. Shout out Chi High, originally down by 24 at the half against Rapids. They ended up winning the game. So they continue. Other teams, know I'm going to miss some. I'm not doing it on purpose, but Menominee, St. Croix Central, Baldwin Woodville, Altoona, Cumberland, McDonald Catholic Central, Osseo Fairchild, Ladysmith, Regis, Neilsville, Auburn, Eau Claire Road, Manual, Lutheran, Thorpe, Owen Withy, all picking up wins last night too.
Because
So,
as we all know, if you don't mention that one school,
I hate them.
you hate that school.
Yep. See,
How dare you?
I didn't even mention my high school, and they won. So, shout out Metro.
You hate. Well, okay, now you just said it.
Yeah. So, also a programming note too. Brandon will be on tomorrow. Brandon Berg, who's usually on Fridays, but he'll be on tomorrow. So he'll do the local sports rundown for us because, well, he'll be watching state hockey Friday morning as Chi High is in action. So we'll get to the preview of that and talk some more hoops too with Brandon because this weekend we'll know the girls teams that will punch their ticket to state, depending on who wins this week, Friday and Saturday too. So, all right, let's do the business of sports. Brought to you by Security Financial Bank. We're going to go a couple different ways here. First off, we've talked about it off and on this week. The NFL salary cap. Everybody, all these teams anxious to find out what the cap's going to be. They've got projections and thoughts of where it's going to be. Well, it surpassed some expectations out there. I say some because actually overthecap.com was pretty close to their projection. But for the most part, when you heard some general managers last couple of days at the combine saying, yeah, it kind of surprised them a little bit. Brandon Beane, even from Buffalo Bill, said the expected rise saved them. And we knew they were in really hard salary cap restrictions. But it went up $30 million. $30 million increase per club. We know usually the salary cap does go up every year, except for the COVID year. That kind of put a wrench in that. But for the most part, it usually goes up. It just doesn't go up by $30 million every year. The league said in a statement, the unprecedented $30 million increase per club in this year's salary cap is the result of the full repayment of all amounts advanced by clubs and deferred by the players during the COVID pandemic, as well as an extraordinary increase in media revenue for the 2024 season. Now, as a reminder, the cap did go down after that 2020 season due to revenues lost from COVID-19. The league has made up those deficits and then some. The 2020 cap number was $198.2 million. 2021 cap number went down to $182.5. The following year, the league went up to $208.2 million in 2022 before the next 2 years where the cap went up by nearly 8% in each season. So this year's $255.4 million figure represents a 13.6 jump in the cap, the largest spike in the cap in a non-COVID year since 2006, when the cap went up from $85.5 million in 2005 to $102 million the next year for a 19.3% increase. So big number, we've talked about it, right? Media, streaming. Now Amazon Prime is going to get a playoff game. More money for teams to spend too, though, right? Kind of, sort of, increases the cap a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And I was listening to Andrew Brandt's take on this in his pod, and he points out there are a lot of other aspects of the salaries that go up too. Contracts are increasing. You got to pay for this guy, pay for this. So it's not just, whoa, we got all this money. Well, yeah, a lot of it's budgeted already in to happen, kind of, sort of, because you don't exactly know what the cap increase is going to be, but a lot of it is all immediately consumed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you bingo, because just because the Packers or the Vikings have more money to spend doesn't necessarily mean they have more money to spend. It might just, agents aren't stupid either. No. They'd be like, oh, okay, team's got more money. That, you know what? My client's price tag just went up a little bit more too.
Yep.
So it's not as simple as that. And the other part too is some of these teams could use this increase to better prepare for themselves for the following years to get in better cap shape, because even though the higher cap from the COVID, you still got teams that are having those void years and dead cap hit numbers. Green Bay is one of them. So maybe some of these teams are using that extra coin that maybe they didn't budget for, and they're going to be like, you know what? We're going to use that to maybe take on some more dead cap this year instead of trying to extend it. That way it allows us to get in a healthier cap situation for the years to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, we know the cap's going to go up unless we get another pandemic.
Right. So. Doubtful. Could happen. Doubtful. Very doubtful. Yeah, I would, if I can change the accounting on a player, and like you said, the void years, or renegotiate their contract, move more of the accounting so it hits against the cap this year versus next with a certain player. I mean, as long as they're still getting paid, they ultimately want that. Now, they probably a lot also want job security, but they also know how you can get cut really easily. So I'd do that if I were a team. Absolutely. And it's a common occurrence. We're going to see that right now. So yeah, it's more of a, hey, check it out, the cap's up. But after that, when you really think about it, it doesn't really mean that much, other than there's a lot of money flowing in. But it's all relative still.
The interesting part in this whole thing that I was kind of looking at the last couple of days, this actually, with this increase, could actually encourage teams to maybe use the franchise tag a little bit more this year, because you had those numbers already come in. Franchise tag, quarterback's 36.3, linebacker 22.8, et cetera. They got those numbers out there, but because they're getting, let's say, an extra $10 million than they thought, they're like, oh, we're going to use the franchise tag now.
True.
Which players are going to hate,
Of course.
That part of it. So, I mean, T. Higgins already got tabbed with the franchise tag. So
who do you think it's, I mean, maybe there's no answer because it could be some player we're not even suspecting from some other team we don't follow. Is there some player you think gets tagged now that probably wasn't going to be because of this particular salary cap increase?
That's a good question, because I don't know. Like Saquon Barkley already got tagged, and then remember, if you tag a guy twice, it's like a 20% increase.
Yeah,
so you can't
get away with that.
Yeah, Washington did with Kirk Cousins, but then like that third time, I think it's a weird number. I want to say like 120%.
Yeah,
it's way high because they don't want teams doing it like every year. It's like 120% increase. It's like that's like a death sentence.
Yeah, I remember the latter years with Cousins in Washington. It was getting ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know if there's a player. Maybe T. Higgins would have been the one.
Might be, because that happened pretty fast. I mean, it could have been coincidental, but it did happen right around that time. Because
they got Jamar Chase, they got Joe Burrow. They've got weapon. I mean, that's your second receiver. You're committing a lot of money to. Trying to think, maybe some other dudes out there. Maybe a Josh. I don't know. I would have said Saquon, but the fact that he got it last year, I'd be like, no, probably not.
I mean, all those running backs were not tagged this time around.
Not yet, but I don't think they will be. So,
Well, right. Yeah. Like you would think, okay, well, you got extra money. Hey, maybe we can tag a running back. Well, I don't think they're going to do that, period.
you know, I think Antoine, I know Packers fans would love him, but he ain't going anywhere. Winfield Jr., the safety from Tampa,
Ooh.
he was going to get tagged regardless, I think. So
Yeah.
he's not leaving Tampa Bay.
Given that they're
So,
getting rid of Shaq Barrett, which that's not like they're destroying their defense, but still, they got to be a little careful with what they did.
what about a Mike Evans?
Who is probably not going back to Tampa Bay? Huh. Unless he gets franchised. I don't think he gets franchised.
No.
I don't or tagged, I suppose is the proper term. I don't think he gets tagged by the Buccaneers. I think he ends up in free agency. Because there seemed to be this whole vibe of, he's not coming back. So I wonder if Tampa Bay has already decided to move on. They can't be like, whoa, wait, we got an extra $10 million? We're tagging him. And maybe, but it's
because he's at that age though too, but he's been putting up consistent numbers.
But when does the bottom fall off?
Well, that's the thing though too, is like franchise tag, you got a year then. If he plays under that year, which I don't think he would.
It's just 1 year, so maybe that's fine. It's probably actually a relatively smart move. Very reliable receiver. Again, yeah, he's getting older, but in 1 year, is the cliff gonna happen? Maybe, but doubtful in 1 year. Could help with Baker, given that never really know. Given how the rest of the team is shaping up, I think it might be a smart move. I don't know that that's the move that Tampa Bay is going to make.
Right. So yeah, it's good for business when the salary cap goes up. It's good for business. For your teams, for all teams and all that too. So, but the other teams at the top too just got a little bit more money too. That's like the Lions. Those teams who have a bunch of salary cap open, it's got a little bit more in there too. Now we'll see if teams actually how they use it. Maybe they use it to lock up some of their own players. That could be the other part in here too. Is like, oh hey, we got extra $10 million. Maybe let's lock up this guy now, instead of maybe looking outside to bring in a free agent.
Is there any player, the Packers, that you would kind of hope they put a little more effort into retaining
outside of Jordan Love?
Yeah, right.
Because that's coming.
Yeah.
That's going to come in May or a little bit after.
But understanding, of course, of all the qualifiers that we've mentioned, that, well, there's all the other assorted increases and such. But is there any where you go, it was a little more than I was thinking. Maybe we should do blank.
That's not a free agent right now, but maybe like next year.
Internally or externally, is any where you go, all right, we got this, or did that thought not even cross your mind with this salary cap, this particular cap increase?
I think now you get maybe a little aggressive in trying to get a safety to come in. Not Darnell Savage, but another safety to come in. Get a safety, draft a safety. Get those two. Lock it down. Lock it down. That's what I would go.
Yeah.
And just because I don't want to have to deal with the disappointment, you got an extra $10 million, bring back A.J. Dillon for another year, please. Just because that's Hudson's favorite player, so I don't have to deal with it. I don't want to deal with the disappointment. So if you got an extra few million, just hand it over to AJ and say, can you come back for another year?
Would this be Hudson's first, I've lost a player moment?
No. Because initially he was very upset about Drew Holiday.
Oh, yeah.
But now
that's right.
Yeah. Now he's actually told me the last few times, he's like, I'm glad they got Damian Lillard.
Oh.
So he's embraced it.
Okay.
So
good. I think he'll get over A.J. Dillon.
I don't know. He's got a canvas photo of him. I mean, he's got a jersey of him, and yeah. So it's a little bit more involved in AJ Dillon than he was with Drew Holiday.
Okay,
but I've prepped him. I said you could still be. I didn't say it by name, but I said you could still be a fan of a player if he's on a different team. So I've been prepping him for that.
You know who needs a good running back solution? Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. Still going to be an AJ Dillon fan when he's a Vikings running back?
Don't. I didn't think of that, but don't do that.
Yeah, hey, you know the pipeline.
He's not a number one.
He's far from it, but you know the pipeline.
Yeah.
Packer leftovers go west.
The mayor of Dayton County, I would think, would know that though too. Or Door County, excuse me, Door County.
Right.
Mayor of Door County.
I think he's self-aware enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think he does that. I mean, go to some place like Jacksonville where we don't really care, or the Cardinals or something. Well, no, don't go to the Cardinals. No one should go to the Cardinals right now.
No one should
go to some other team that's not an NFC North team. Have the Lions officially gotten to the point where you would be upset if like one of Hudson's favorite players went to Detroit? Like, oh,
The thing is, I don't think Hudson would be upset if they went to the Lions because he wanted the Lions to win this year. So,
okay.
but maybe that changes next year when he finally realizes it doesn't matter if a team hasn't won a Super Bowl. If they're in your division, you hope they never win one.
Right.
But, yeah, he's too nice right now. So, speaking of the Packers, the other part of our business of sports, the Packers raise ticket prices again, and people are pissed. Looking at the release here, the Packers season ticket prices for 2024 are from $4 to $10 higher for stadium bowl seats. This will also be the first season, too, remember, that the Packers host 9 home games under the league's 4-year-old 17-game schedule, because the first time they used one of those to go to London, right? Yeah, that's when they played the Giants over there. So as a result, the gold package will receive 3 regular season games. In the green package, you get 6 regular season games and 1 preseason game. Congratulations, you get the preseason game on there.
Woo.
Gold package holders will pay $66 to $87 more this year than if they had 2 regular season games and a preseason game. Looking at some of the numbers here, end zone seats, $68 for the preseason, $135 for the regular season. Total cost, $878 this year. Last year was $839. I don't need to go through the whole things here, but that just kind of gives you a little bit of an increase. Mark Murphy said in a letter to ticket holders that the increase should put the Packers just below the NFL average. Quote, "This is our annual goal that we feel represents a great value for the top-rated Lambeau Field game day experience and also allows us to be a good business partner to other NFL clubs with whom we share ticket revenue." I think that's a key part in there people don't realize. Packers aren't the only team that's raising ticket prices. Here's some examples. The Bears, they are raising ticket prices. Prices would be 6.2% to 11.3% higher. The average increase is $8. The Lions, after winning a bunch of games, they've now increased the average ticket hike this year 30%. 30%. Some fans are actually seeing higher increases. One fan said his tickets, which cost him $5,536 last year, will now cost him $13,616, a 146% increase. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Broncos also raised prices by an average of 7.9%.
Why?
Right. The Rams raised ticket prices from 8 to 20%, and the Commanders raised ticket prices for some seats.
Well, at least they, don't have a absolutely risable owner anymore. So I guess people actually want to go to the games now.
The Jets, those tricky Jets, though, they raised prices by an average of 10%. Here's the tricky part. They require renewal by last year, November 15th of 2023. Months earlier than in the past. Whoa.
What does that mean?
They took advantage of that whole Aaron Rodgers. Remember that whole movie thing with Aaron Rodgers was like calling season ticket holders last year? That little ploy over there. So, so I know Packers fans are upset because it went up, but when you look at it from across the league, they're still below league average. So, I mean, do we really have a gripe to be made here?
No. And also, I guess that is, outrageous as it sounds. I guess there's a market for this. I mean, until you have empty seats, then you can keep raising the prices because there's probably people that will spend money. Now, like in the case of Detroit, you won't worry a little bit. Is this going to be like Golden State? Gets a little gentrified, like the hardcore fans that were there all along, got all excited, got all loud. Then they get priced out for the rich Detroit Lions fans that fly in from Miami. And but then they act, or don't even do that. They just sell it off to someone else who doesn't care and just goes into the club. Does that end up happening? And that's an extreme example, but does that?
I don't fault the NFL or play for teams doing this.
And yeah, that's the thing. The market is the market. They're They're not stupid.
Yeah.
They'll pay,
You know who's stupid? It's us fans who keep buying the tickets.
$68 when you said that for a preseason game, no freaking way am I spending I'm not spending maybe $6 on a preseason game.
But you know what? That stadium's full during a preseason game.
It is, and I guess that's for people that they probably don't want to spend $100+ on a regular season game. So this is their chance to go to Lambeau. So I guess that's the market there.
But that's because we are the idiots buying these tickets.
Right. So y'all got to stop buying the tickets. That's the thing.
That's the only way it's going to change.
If you complain about this stuff, and I don't know how many people really do complain, but if you complain, stop buying the tickets, stop streaming the games. That's when the dollars stop coming in. Until then, this will keep happening and will keep increasing. Or at the very least, won't be going any lower.
Mm-hmm.
It might plateau. I don't think it's going to go demonstrably lower.
It's food, it's water, it's electric, it's heat, and it's our sports games.
Jeez.
Right? For some people, it's like that. It's like, oh, I gotta watch. I'm one of them.
You have to.
I'm one of them. So I mean,
you are. And this, that's to each their own. Whatever one values, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
I know people are going to complain about it, but the thing is like, it's a business, isn't it?
It is.
And I mean, it's not a feel good thing. It's a business.
You're not required to spend that money.
No, you don't have to go. You still do though.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's like people that spend money on 15 different streaming packages for their entertainment so that they can quarter or pay attention to whatever's actually streaming, or forget that they're spending $15 on that's an extreme, but like maybe $5 on a streaming service. Well, y'all chose to do that. You don't have to, but you did.
Yeah.
Or spend however much dollars on a super expensive beverage or something. You still do it. Side note, probably am today because I think I'm going to get in honor of the now retired, well, mostly retired Peter King. I think I'm going to get the Peter King today.
You're going to get the
caramel macchiato with 4 espresso shots. I don't need it. I'm plenty awake. But that was the signature drink for the longest time.
Yeah.
And
nice.
And you know what? It's probably going to cost a good amount of money. But
oh yeah, dude.
But for this week, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's what do we choose to do with our money? Here's the thing. As long as anything in your life is not getting harmed, do what you want to do with your money.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means spending $13,000 on Detroit Lions season tickets, provided you can make sure everything else in your life is taken care of and people are still doing good, cool. And if not, give it up.
Well, and here's something, too, that I think, and this is something I believe you mentioned a while back, but, I'm sure there's probably some people maybe out there thinking, well, people are just going to stay home and watch instead of go to the stadiums and buy tickets. But we're starting to see stadiums now, and I think you mentioned this and you brought this up a while back, they're not having as many seats in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Was it Washington's, or I can't remember which one it was, but they were actually limiting the seats and not having as much, because we used to be like, oh, who's got the biggest stadium? Who's got the most
120,000 seats.
Yeah. But now you're getting these stadiums that are getting smaller, but I mean, you're getting bigger media packages now.
Bigger media packages, and because more people are watching from home, and those who are at the places, the other big trend besides seat reductions, take a look, by the way, at still call it Jacobs Field, Progressive Field, where the Guardians play. Look at the renovations happening this offseason. I saw pictures the other day, but in case anyone hasn't seen, take a look at what's happening. Google it, see what's happening, or if you don't find it, wait till games start being played. They're taking out the upper deck seats and the end of the third base side, that big restaurant, that like three, along the third base line. There's that tiered restaurant.
Yeah.
If you know the stadium, you do, but in case anyone's listening, they're like taking out the windows, they're opening that up. And then remember they had those big boxes that replace the seats up above in the outright, and it looked horrible. They're taking all of that out, which I know a lot of that wasn't even seating anyway. A lot of that's going away. And they're having more, I guess, group areas. Now, that's a more extreme example, but you're seeing other examples of that where like luxury suites are being taken out and replaced by big group.
So like standing room?
Kind of, yeah.
Sort of thing?
Right, because you can find more ways to get money that way, because people prefer to mingle around and then go buy concessions that are more expensive and all that sort of stuff. That's how you keep them in. It's not necessarily about getting them in for the first pitch or the tip of the ball or the kickoff. Dropping the puck does not maybe more so with hockey, given the nature of that sport. But the others, not as much. It's more about what all is going on elsewhere, all the club options, not as much actual seats. Yeah, this is all part and parcel, to use the term, of that trend. Exactly. I don't think Lambeau Field, I mean, maybe Lambeau's an exception because it's Lambeau Field and with Packer fandom. But I don't know that, we've thought, they're totally going to do at some point. They're probably going to redo the skyboxes and the club seats so they can extend but I don't know that they would do that now. They probably, if a team could, it probably is, the Packers.
Here's the thing, too. I think we've got to remember when it comes to Green Bay, they could easily spike this up more if they wanted to. I mean, look at the season ticket waiting list.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to gripe about Green Bay doing that, I mean, they could easily do a whole lot more if they wanted to. Nobody else has a 40, 50, whatever the heck it is now, year-long waiting list for this.
Well, and you also don't want to jack up the prices so much that, like I was referring to Detroit and Golden State, you don't want to make it so that, I mean, I don't think people who just care about being seen are going to go to Green Bay. No, come on, that's still a thing. But you don't want to get to the point too much where the atmosphere you've talked about a lot at Lambeau that doesn't seem to be the same as it used to be. It's still really good, but it's not as diehard as it used to be. You want more of that?
Right.
More non-fans coming in, more empty seats because the prices start going up. And yeah, they're making the money, but the atmosphere isn't quite the same.
It's that balancing act. Whereas, the business side of things, Green Bay just wants the sellouts, but they want their fans. We don't want Matt LaFleur having to dedicate his presser saying, we got to get loud, or the camera panning on Matt LaFleur to tell the crowd to get loud.
Yeah.
But
you don't want to get that tipping point.
Right.
And they're on the good side of that right now. And I think it's a no-brainer. They're going to stay on that good side of that. They know what they've got.
Yeah. So, but I do think it's of note too, where Murphy said it's shared. Ticket prices are shared revenue. It's not money that Green Bay 100% keeps.
That's right.
So that's the other part of this thing too. Yeah.
There's a lot of money that doesn't go into that cap. I think that was another thing Andrew Brandt was talking about, like the stadium naming rights. A lot of those a lot of that up front, that does not go into the cap.
Right.
It's going elsewhere.
And that's why you have places like Titletown District and all that other extra revenue sources.
It's for the dude in Tucson, Justin in Tucson, who said Mark Murphy's been horrible. Really?
No, he hasn't.
Really?
He hasn't.
Don't think so.
Nope. All right, let's take a quick break. That is your segments. I had a brain fart there. Business and Sports brought to you by Security Financial Bank. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with more after these quick words. Does your team need to make a statement on and off the field? Whether you are managing a sports team or a business team, Residence Branding Company knows that looking good matters. For custom apparel, banners, and signage, online merchandise stores, printed products, and so much more, Residence Branding Company is your one-stop shop. High-quality decoration, affordable products, quick turnaround time, and top-notch customer service. Residence Branding Company is here to help your brand resonate with your audience. Check them out at residencebrandingcompany.com or visit their shop in Altoona today. Resonance Branding Company, the official swag sponsor of the program and the Man Cave podcast. Also, put it on your calendars. March 28th, we've got an opening day party. We're going to be setting up over at Hy-Vee opening day. Milwaukee will be taking on New York. We'll be over there starting at 11:30. I know that's also spring break week for some of the schools around here too. So maybe you're sticking around for spring break. I don't know, but if you are, or you're looking maybe to escape for a little bit of a longer lunch, we'll be over at Hy-Vee for our opening day party. Speaking of which, what are you going to do Monday mornings now during the football season?
Not figure out how to read Monday Morning Quarterback while trying to work.
Or Football Morning in America now.
Gosh, yeah, that's still locked in. I know, like, what's kind of interesting is probably the people I read the most and or watch the most. Peter King, Chris Berman, Bill Simmons, at least his columns, I should say, and also Paul Lucas from UniWatch. Simmons barely does columns anymore. Peter King is now retired. Paul Lucas is retiring this year. Now, UniWatch is sticking around. They got other folks on UniWatch, but he's retiring this year. Berman's still going. I mean, I thought there was the whole retirement a few years ago. Well, that was more of a John Skipper thing, as we've come to know.
Yeah.
And for all, it seems like he's in it for the long haul now.
Still kind of surprised me when I see on TV because I was so in tune, trained. I thought he was done, you know. But now he's on with Booger now.
Still doing it because I watch NFL primetime every week. And I mean, Berman's not. You can watch the highlights for the 80s and 90s. It's not the same, but still kind of got it. Like keep doing it. Gosh, I'm gonna miss it. I think it's really gonna kick in after a few weeks go by because now we're in that quieter period. Not everything. I mean, I'll skip past a fair amount of things now because it's getting into like draft speculation and such. I know he hates a lot of that because there's so much you can't predict. But a lot of that I will also skim by anyway. And then comes the quiet season in the summer, especially this autumn when wake up on Monday morning and I got to look up football. There's nothing there. Right. Okay. Which, yeah, it's less that I'm probably going to know about football. Now, I'm glad that he pointed out like four columns to read.
Yeah.
That are still really good. And look, it's not like Peter King is gone and thus there's so much we're not going to know. Yeah. There are plenty of good ones.
You got Albert Breer, who still does Monday Morning Quarterback. So
yeah, literally the same column. It's a different type of column, but it is still the column. Ben Zolak at the Ringer, deep dive stuff. When he's been on the Simmons pod, yeah, he knows his stuff. And there are others like the Mina. I keep highlighting Mina Kimes. Now that's more deep dive. That's really getting analytical. But if you want that, it's there. If you want 50,000 foot perspectives, that's the Albert Breer stuff. It's there. You can find that, and you can find that with good writers. It's not going to be his type. There was something that
there's more storytelling.
Yes,
honestly. So
yes.
The talking to Andy Reid after the Super Bowl and finding out corn dog, that type, that play and that type of stuff.
And I don't know that anyone will be able to do that. Now, maybe someone will do it. It's like what we always say, there will never be another. Okay, true. Maybe there'll be something akin to that's not the same. I don't know what that is. Peter King was not a Frank DeFord. Frank DeFord's not a Peter King. They have different styles. There might be someone else that does something else and we don't know. But yeah, I'll miss the 10 things I think. Always loved reading that. The way stuff was put together, like you start to go, okay, what's the factoidness going to be this week? What's the coffee nerdness? I know it was more beard nerdness of late. What's that stuff going to be? Because it was, to me, it's somewhat authoritative. I would make sure I read it before I came on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times did we do the Peter King drinking game? Because we'd always reference that because it was that good. I could see it coming.
I also think a lot of it is just the era or the generation you're in too. You know,
Mhm.
how coverages, how stories have changed. I mean, you know, you go back to Grantland Rice. We didn't have TV. You had to write it almost in a poetic way to describe what they were seeing because we couldn't see it or they couldn't see it back then.
And Peter King, admittedly, is more prosaic than poetic.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a knock on that. He's more, this is kind of what I see versus the wordsmithing of a lot of the Lee Montvilles of the world and such. There's different takes on how you do that. It was a strong appeal. Like when did you start reading Peter King stuff, whether it was from Sports Illustrated or Monday Morning Quarterback or something else?
Gosh, I can't even remember, dude.
I know I was struggling to think that as well. Like I think I remember, like I'm sure I saw Peter King stories in Sports Illustrated in the 90s. And I'm sure I saw him on TV because I think it was doing something. I think I remember he was a football writer. Because I started.
Honestly, I think it would have been my first was like, because he was really close with Favre.
Right.
So, I mean, you're talking mid 90s.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Because my memory, I think it's an odd time for my football memory because this was like my nadir of football fandom was the game that shall not be spoken of, 98 NFC Championship game. But in the wake of that, I'm trying to remember if I started reading Monday Morning Quarterback about that time or just before, during the season, or right after that. But I have this distinct memory of him writing a daily Monday Morning Quarterback leading up to the Super Bowl and thinking, wow, I'm getting all this insight every day going up to and it was great to read. And I was hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was right about that time. So it would have been, again, early 99, maybe late 98. And I've read almost every one since. I think, and yes, like I think most of us, we skipped over some segments because there's a lot there and not everything's going to be interesting. The one thing I think I have to go back and read, I did not read the Tom Brady interviews in 2017. I usually would skip past the interviews because a lot of times it's what they're saying, which you might go, well, that's the point of the reporter going to talk to the high profile figure. I'm more interested in what Peter King had to say than a lot of the players. But given how much that has been cited of late and how much he talks about that, I think I kind of owe it to myself to read that. It's so critical to him.
I would love it if he did an updated version of his book, the Monday Morning Quarterback book. I know you and I both have a copy of it. So,
as he said, he's not retiring. Period. I'll be curious to see what else happens. What does he end up doing in a lower profile?
I'd be curious if it's more of a historical. I mean, because this is where I really kind of got like hook, line, and sinker was about 2010 when the NFL Network did their top 100 greatest players of all time, and they ranked them. And Don Hudson was in the top 10, and Peter King was the one banging the table for Don Hudson. That's where it was like hook, line, sinker for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be curious if it's like a more historical kind of thing.
You know, given all his advocating for Buddy Parker, didn't get in the Hall of Fame and had a 70-minute discussion session. And he's been very strong, especially on guys like Parker. Like, we shouldn't ignore the early years of the NFL just because we weren't alive. That doesn't mean it didn't count. It's the ultimate in recency bias, and he's been a strong advocate against that. Now, that's a generational thing. I mean, eventually that passes, and then it's going to be up to the next people to advocate for that. But then, hey, look, there are people that are really big right now, NFL stars right now, 50, 60, 70 years from now, be like, hey, don't overlook the guys from the 2020s. It happens. It's cyclical. But I'm glad at least he was making a point for people before his time, too. Buddy Parker was around before Peter King was born.
Right.
As an example. So yeah, it's part of my sports fandom that's gone, but I guess it's if you rely on an individual, it's inevitable. And Berman at some point is going to be done, and yeah, it just happens.
Right.
Yeah. So be it.
Yep.
But he had a great career, and I'm glad and I know health has been a concern of his, as he said, he's the longest living male in his family.
Yeah.
So
like
I'm glad
all of
he's
his brothers
still,
and dad passed away before, was it 65? I think he said.
So I'm, for his sake, it's been a job well done. massive applauding.
And I believe
Yeah.
his daughters live out on the West Coast, or his grandkids live out in
Right.
San Francisco or something.
Yes, like
too,
Seattle and San Francisco, I think in those two areas. So good.
Mhm.
The thing that kind of struck me when he started the column, he's like, kind of wish I could take a Super Bowl and just watch it at home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of something my dad said, that he'd like to at some point watch an election with just a bucket of popcorn and not have to cover, because he was, again, the news director at EAU, so he'd always have to be covering that. He never got the chance because he was always working, and then he passed away, and he never got that chance to watch a big election and just sit back and watch it. So when Peter King said that, I'm like, yes, you do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Take advantage of it. You do that.
Absolutely.
You've earned it.
Mhm. All right. Should also mention too, I mentioned in the first hour, but kind of a weird Cherry Star. Like 2 people I got to meet in my life. One's retiring and one passed away. Cherry Star passing away yesterday. Bart Starr's wife.
Yeah.
At the age of 89 too.
I've
so.
seen so many, and you've talked about her so many times, and we've heard and seen. Okay, you've met her. For anyone who hasn't met her, describe her.
She I think when you talk about one, you got to talk about both, because they were always to get like attached at the hip, and everything that you have read or heard or saw on TV is 100% true in real life. Like, they were just like the nicest people in the world, like the nicest. I got to ask Bart a question at a presser, and maybe I'll put that. I still have the clip because I saved it. Maybe I'll put it up on a podcast today.
Cool.
But so I got to ask, but then she chimed in. She was sitting right in front of me, and she chimed in and kind of, and that was right before Bart had those strokes.
Mhm.
So, but she chimed in and talked and kind of helped him answer that too. And then afterwards, I got to talk to her for a little bit more too. But she was just, yeah, like everything you've read or heard about how awesome those 2 people are, it's 100% true. And I think you can't talk about one without the other, because they were that close. And listening to, and it was actually in the question I asked him, but he talked about the reason why he went to Alabama was because of her. Could have gone to a different college. Could have, I think it was Kentucky that he thought about going to, because Babe Parilli was his role model, or a guy he looked up to, and that's where he played college football. But Cherry was going to Auburn, so he went to Alabama.
The rival.
Yeah, right.
But
So,
it was in state.
yep.
A lot closer.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So, yeah. I'll
Another
put that
life
up on
well
the pod.
lived.
Exactly.
Another life well lived.
All right, let's take a break. We've got a couple picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. That's coming up in just a couple minutes. Sometimes you just need a little me time, and what makes your me time better is a great cup of coffee in a relaxing, cozy environment. That's exactly what you will get when you visit Cabin Coffee in Altoona. Why settle for low-quality coffee for your me time when you have a freshly roasted brew with many different flavor options located right in your own backyard? Need a bite to eat during that me time? Cabin Coffee has you covered as well, with a menu filled with breakfast, lunch, and bakery items. Having a good cup of coffee just instantly puts us in a good mood. That is, if you get your coffee from Cabin Coffee. Speaking of the podcast, too, we will have a new episode of the Man Cave Podcast brought to you by Toyson Ford and Hy-Vee up a little bit later on. I'll put that Bar Star clip in there because you can hear Jerry in it, too. So I'll put that up on there later on today, later on this morning here. Let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. You're looking for somewhere maybe to catch the game and have a Man Cave lights? Go to the Elbow Room located next to Banbury Place there. We got some college games here. Marquette versus Providence. Marquette is favored by 10.5. Do they cover? Because I'm assuming we're both picking Marquette.
Yeah, Marquette wins. I'm going to say no, they do not cover.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think they win, but I don't think they cover.
It's tough Big East games.
Mm-hmm. The Fighting Illini of Illinois taking on your Golden Gophers. Illinois, 11.5-point favorites.
Wow. Minnesota did not do well against Nebraska. They've been playing really well outside of that game. So I wonder a little bit. I'm gonna barely take the under on not the under. What I mean is Minnesota barely avoids this. They'll like lose by 10.
Okay. That's kind of where I'm at on this too.
Yeah.
I think Illinois wins, but I don't think Illinois will cover.
No.
But it might be one of those. If they do, it might be one of those like garbage points at the end.
Probably something like that. Get up to 13.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to the NBA world. Throwing this one in there just because I think, again, we know who we're going to pick. But the Timberwolves taking on Memphis. Timberwolves 12.5-point favorites.
Yeah, they should win. They should win by covering the spread as well.
I agree. We got Sacramento taking on Denver. It's at Denver where they're 22-5. Denver, though, 7.5-point favorites.
Kings, what? They're currently in the play-in tournament right now?
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's the margin is so close in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the Nuggets on covering.
Look at that. I agree with you, too.
Wow.
Man, holy moly. Then finally, Lakers at Clippers. Although, is it really at?
Yeah. Well, next year it will be at the Intuit Dome. Side note, we were talking about seats and such. You don't know about like what they're calling it, the wall in the Intuit Dome, the new Clippers arena?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Kind of like what they have in Maryland. It's like one end is going to be the steep, long wall. Okay, that's where you do it with seats like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
In the interim, while it's still at the crypt,
Clippers are 3.5.
I'll take the Clippers in this one.
I'll take the Clippers, and I think they cover too.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got the same exact picks.
Oh.
We got a brand new set of picks to be made at our website, sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the Fan Cave tab over there, and you can make your picks. We got some Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games up there for you. Not a lot, just a few, but try to keep it so it's on the weekend, so you can kind of get into a little bit of a routine over there.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else? So we'll kind of recap it here. Brewers taking on the Cubbies. First pitch 2:10. You can hear that game on the radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Again, reminder when it comes to games, can't stream it, can't listen to it on the internet, gotta listen to it on the radio dial. That's a baseball Brewers thing. Mm-hmm. So just throwing it out there because it happens every year. People ask why we're not airing games. Can't do it on the internet. Okay,
that's why.
That's why. So, but you'll be able to hear that one at 2:10. First pitch coverage does begin at 2:00. The battle between Murphy and Council. Will there be drama between the two ball clubs?
No, not at all.
No. Bucks got the I don't want to say impressive because it was Charlotte, but dominating win against Charlotte Hornets last night, which something we all wanted to see. They've got the off day today before hitting the road against Charlotte again Thursday and Chicago on Friday. Then starts that interesting trip Monday. Here's your schedule for the Bucks: Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, Sacramento, Philly, Phoenix, Boston. Throw Brooklyn in there, and then the Thunder, and then the Lakers again, and then New Orleans.
Well, then.
March is going to be interesting for the Bucks.
Yeah.
But that's going to be I'm glad because that's right before the playoffs. You got a couple weeks into April. Go through a gauntlet and get ready for the postseason. I think that stretch this month of March is going to tell us what kind of team we're going to see in the postseason for the Bucks.
Yeah. As long as they can hold on decent seating wise, I mean, heat culture's looming just below them. It's a good test, but I think they're starting to round out a little bit. They're not going to win every game. Let's not panic after every loss that this is Doc Rivers. Stop.
I think the biggest change we're seeing, in my opinion, like we see defensive numbers, they're getting better, and that offensive numbers are coming down. But I think the biggest reason why they're slowing it down a little bit. Because I feel like when they were scoring at will and they were playing a little bit more fast paced. They're kind of slowing it down a bit, allowing Dame and Giannis to kind of grind teams out, grind out with these victories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's allowing them to, I think, to get a better connection with each other.
Well, that's going to be better for the postseason.
Right, exactly.
You play that's where the game gets more physical. It's a good move. Those defensive teams, this is where you can make the case. Oh, the Celtics are playing ridiculously good right now. But this is where you can make the case for, like, if you want to see a Wolves-Bucks NBA Finals, that's why you could say that.
Mm-hmm.
They're two teams that excel with defense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's weird saying that about the Bucks this year, but now
as of late they are.
Yes, it's absolutely true.
So the one maybe downfall for the Celtics is, do they shoot too many threes?
Yeah.
And if they're off, we'll see. But.
Yeah. Oh, hey, remember I was talking about naming rights and that money doesn't go to? Just saw this. Apparently just came up. Commies need a new naming rights deal. Well, they don't need one. FedEx is not going to sponsor the stadium anymore.
Okay.
No money that way, so I guess I'll have to raise ticket prices.
I'm sure they'll find a new one with a new ownership over there.
They'll find something eventually. Hey, they're actually going to get a stadium now, so
yeah,
they'll be okay.
Magic Johnson, does he still have all those theaters?
I don't know if he does.
I don't know if he does yet.
He could probably leverage that some way.
Yeah,
I'm sure
they'll be okay. There's no crying in Washington right now.
No.
All right, that's going to do it for us. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. We'll do it again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Talk to you then.